Picture a hillside crowd, sitting in the dirt, listening to a young rabbi from Nazareth. He's not reciting new rules. He's doing something far more unsettling. He's taking rules everyone already knows by heart and showing them how shallow their understanding of those rules has actually been. This is Jesus, in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount, and what he's about to say will completely reshape what it means to live a good life. Imagine a world where everyone treated each other with real dignity, where when conflict came up, people worked to make it right instead of making it worse. In the Bible, that way of living is called righteousness. It sounds beautiful in theory, but how do you actually learn to do right by people, day after day, in situations that are never as simple as they look? Jesus' answer is that righteousness isn't primarily a checklist. It's wisdom, the kind you get by digging beneath a command to find the value it's protecting. And he's about to hand us 3 examples. Live in front of the crowd. He starts with the heaviest one on the list. You have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder. Straight from the 10 Commandments, nothing controversial yet. Then Jesus goes further. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council. Now, on the surface, that sounds extreme. Losing your temper is not the same thing as taking a life. But that's exactly the point Jesus is making. Murder, rage, and contempt aren't 3 separate categories. They're the same root problem showing up at different volumes. Murder just happens to be the loudest, final version of a much quieter thing we do all the time, deciding in our hearts that someone's existence doesn't matter as much as ours does. Think about what this looks like now. It's the driver who cuts you off, and for the next 10 minutes you're rehearsing exactly what you'd say to them if you got the chance. It's the comment section under a stranger's post, where people say things to each other they'd never say face to face because a screen makes contempt feel consequence-free. It's the family group chat that goes cold after one sharp remark nobody apologizes for. None of that is murder, but Jesus is saying it comes from the same place murder comes from a heart that has quietly decided someone else is worth less than they are. Righteousness, in this first case, means resisting that quiet devaluation. It means treating every single person, including the ones who cut you off in traffic, the ones you're arguing with online, the family member who hurt you, as someone carrying the image of God, whether they've earned that treatment or not. Jesus moves to a second example, and it's just as uncomfortable. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. He's not talking about noticing someone as attractive. He's talking about the lingering stare, the mental undressing, looking at another human being as something that exists purely for your own gratification. And when that happens, Jesus says, the damage is already done in the heart, even if nothing physical ever occurs. He follows it with shocking language. If your eye or your hand causes you to sin, get rid of it. He's not asking for self-mutilation. He's using hyperbole to say the stakes here are that serious. We live in a culture absolutely saturated with this exact temptation, an entire industry built on reducing people to objects for consumption, endless images engineered to trigger exactly what Jesus is warning about. And it's not only screens, it's the coworker sized up the moment they walk into a room, the partner scrolled past on an app based purely on appearance, stripped of any context of who they actually are. Scripture doesn't treat sexual desire as shameful. It's part of how God designed us. But when desire starts treating a person like an object instead of an image bearer, something in us starts to rot, even if our hands never move. Then comes the hardest case study of the 3, divorce. Jesus says, it was also said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. In his culture, only men could initiate divorce, and that power imbalance had been badly abused. The Torah only addressed the issue once, with a law meant to slow divorce down and protect women, but by Jesus' day, some religious teachers had stretched that law to mean a man could divorce his wife for almost any reason, dissatisfaction included. Jesus steps directly into that debate. I say to you, everyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery. He's siding with the stricter reading, the one that actually protects women, instead of giving men an easy exit whenever they got tired of the marriage. And notice where he places the blame squarely on the men making the selfish choice, not on the women left vulnerable by it. That doesn't mean Jesus is answering every hard modern question about divorce, abuse, abandonment, betrayal that shatters trust completely. Those are real and serious situations Scripture takes seriously elsewhere. What Jesus is confronting here is something narrower and still painfully relevant. People treating a covenant relationship like something disposable the moment it stops being convenient. Marriage, in God's design, is meant to be interdependence and mutual honor, two people reflecting God's image together, not one person using the relationship until something better comes along. You can see the same danger today in a different shape. The ease of discarding a relationship instead of doing the harder work of repair. Treating commitment as something you keep only as long as it feels good. Jesus isn't handing out a rule book here. He's exposing a heart condition, one that shows up whether you're married in first century Galilee or dating in a city today. Here's what ties all three examples together. You could technically never murder anyone, never physically cheat, never file an illegitimate divorce, and still fail every one of these tests. Because the real issue was never just the external act. It's whether you actually see the other person as valuable. Anger and contempt say someone's life doesn't matter. Lust says someone's body matters more than their personhood. Careless divorce says a covenant only matters while it's convenient. In every case, real righteousness means seeing people the way God sees them, worth protecting, worth honoring, never worth using. Before we get to how this all lands, if this kind of look at Scripture is helpful to you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It really helps this channel grow, and there's a lot more of this coming. Jesus wasn't handing his listeners a stricter rule book to feel guilty about. He was inviting them into a completely different way of seeing other people. One where every person you meet, the driver, the stranger online, the person you're dating, the spouse you've been married to for 20 years, carries the image of God and is treated accordingly. That's what it actually means to do right by people. Not just staying technically innocent, but choosing, again and again, to honor the value of the person in front of you. If this helped you see it a little differently, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.